Good morning. It's the Good Morning Show, and we're into like the middle of July. We'll turn around and soon it'll be Christmas and December 21st, which apparently we're supposed to have a big event on December 21st. We'll all be light beings and we'll be floating around in joy and happiness. In the meantime, we have a show to do. And I'm really glad to have my friend back, Cathy. She's a healer, a facilitator, teacher, drummer, musician, singer, songwriter, and all-round great friend, right? Come see, come saw, eh? And we're talking, what if you're an empath? How do you know you're an empath? So what is an empath? You know, no, it's not Red Path, the sugar factory in downtown Toronto by the lake. It's an empath. And an empath is a highly sensitive individual, and they have a keen ability to sense what people around them are thinking and feeling. Ooh, that's kind of scary. And psychologists may use the term empath to describe a person that experiences a great deal of empathy, often to the point of taking on the pain of others at their own expense. So, Cathy, welcome back. How are you on this July 14th? Thumbs up.
I'm doing well.
All things considered.
All things considered, yeah. I'm riding the waves. I'm on the surfboard.
That you got to ride the waves. And the waves come, and because I think both you and I are empaths. Yeah. I don't think I know.
Yeah.
So we're talking about empaths. You know, as an empath, what do you go through, and what kind of feelings and emotions do you pick up from others that can kind of maybe throw you off the game, and that you are maybe riding a wave, one moment to the next?
I would say it's interesting because, well, of course, like yourself, I've been an empath my whole life. And I didn't really understand it probably until recent years, actually, probably the last 5 to 10 years, and really didn't know how I felt because I pretty much carried everybody else's feelings. So I didn't really know how to differentiate who I was feeling. It was really difficult to know. I was so overwhelmed by most of it and needed to sort of fix or transmute all this energy all the time and felt completely overwhelmed. So to actually get that definition or that understanding, when I was in therapy at the point and somebody said, you were probably an empath. And I'm like, what does that even mean? So it's a process after fully understanding that. Well, how am I going to manage this? Because it can be a beautiful superpower, which is what I want to help people realize. And it can feel like a curse, especially if you don't know what you're bathing in. You're just like, you're just drowning in it because you're so affected by the outside, everything, that you don't even know how to process any of it. You don't even know who's who, what's what. I mean, I was like that at one time. Yeah. And I was anxiety, panic attacks, all that stuff. It's like an overwhelm. You don't even know who's who. Is it you? Is it that person? Yeah. I don't know if I'm answering your question.
Oh, you are. So let me ask you, you're starting to work a lot with younger people, with youth in practice. And do you find that youth and young people being born today are more empathic maybe than we were in our generation? Like we were like 60, 70 kids. Do you think youth are a little more empathic today?
You know, it's interesting. It's interesting you ask that because I've thought about, how each generation and the souls that come in and how different they are. I think they've come into a lot. Me and you used to climb trees and go out there and kick the can and be out all day. Well, these kids are not doing that kind of stuff. They're being inundated with information and just inundated with conditioning and programming and so much stuff that you and I used to go out into trees and nature and feel and palpate that kind of stuff, which I think helped us. I do feel like myself, the passion I have for these young people is because in these times we're in right now, there's such an overstimulation. There's so much happening right now that I feel that the younger ones that and they're not young. I mean, they're from teenager and up into, 20s and 30s, that it's hard to sort of manage things. It's hard to decipher. So I kind of want a place where they have a sacred space where I can help them, so they feel a safe place to be able to help them know what it means to bring awareness in, and to give them tools, because there's many ways that you can help yourself being an empath. And I actually believe that most of the world, there's a large percentage that are, and to varying degrees. There is a large percentage, but of course it's driven right out of us through a narrative. Don't be so sensitive. Don't be this. Like there's so much. We don't allow that vulnerability, right?
Mm-hmm.
And empaths are unique in a sense that they do feel. They are very good at helping people and overgiving and being able to, they're very good. It's very acute. It is very, what's the word? It's innate is the word I'm looking for. It's innate. It's in them. They're born with it.
So do you think that maybe the kids being born today, or the teens or the young 20 somethings, do you think the rise in mental health issues among them, because we're hearing it way more now than we ever did as kids, do you think the rise in mental health issues that they're facing at school and among their peers, do you think it is because they're more empathic and they're more feeling than we were as little guffers?
I don't think yes and gray. It's not just so black and white. I think that for me, when I look at some of the people I'm working with, I just think there's a sense of loss of who they are, or knowing who they are, and not even knowing how to sort of process all of that, what's happening, and especially being so sensitive and acutely intuitive and being turned on a lot, and knowing how to turn that off, and there's an inundation of everything coming at them. I'd never really thought about that. That's a good question. I think a lot of people deal with things in certain ways, right? Some people as empaths will drink alcohol or numb themselves or smoke drugs or do things that help that calm down that hypervigilance of being on all the time. I'm not sure I answered your question completely. I just know that there's many layers to it, and yet at the same time, it's simple. There's some simple ways and tools of being able to, and through awareness for sure. No matter what generation, because there's still people of art. We're empaths too, and I'm in my 50s. This doesn't end. Like, you just don't all of a sudden, I'm not an empath anymore.
Yeah, I'm going to stop feeling. No. I am too. I want to get to the tools, but I think one of the tools that kids really rely on are these things.
Oh God, yeah.
And I think the sooner they shut them off and get off that track, the better off they'll be. I used to take the TTC into work, or if I go downtown, I'll take it. Not now, but pre-COVID times, and the whole bus was on one of these things. So that this isn't good. So in terms of some of the tools that young people could use I'm just going to shut my phone off or it'll go crazy during our interview here. In terms of one of the tools that we can employ to help us manage our emotions, what are some tools? What would you like to see young kids what would you like to see young kids being taught in school to help them manage this? And then what are some tools that maybe all of us can use to manage our empathic tendency or nature? To help us.
It's interesting. I would say one of the probably more best foundational things is to bring in meditation and some form of quiet, some form of stilling oneself, to be able to. And if we get that right off the ground foundationally with children, you're going to have a different upbringing. So to be able to have that stillness and just to be able to connect and bring awareness in, that you're not, just be present to what's going on inside of you. Differentiating between your feelings and what other people's feelings are too, right? To be able to see that. I think there's so many life skills that we could teach, just even healthy boundaries. So where I begin and end and where you are. I mean, we talk about this oneness, which is truth, but we don't all have to merge like together. I mean, there's differences in the expression, of who we are. There's a one place where we meet, but we don't have to become everyone. We don't have to be liked by everyone. We have to be able to manage and walk through life with some healthy, discerning boundaries. I mean, I was brought up, I think of me as a kid, I think of even my god kids. And I had the conversation with one of my god kids who's 11 now, is going to be 12, just yesterday. And she goes, well, what are you doing? I see you're doing something. And I said, you're an empath. And she goes, well, what does that mean? And I said, you feel such compassion. You want to take care of people all the time, right? She goes, oh, that means empath. And I was just kind of, she was listening. She goes, I want to hear about how this goes for you, Cathy. Like there was almost this interest in this little one. And I've given them a whole bunch of crystals, and crystals that have these elements in them, like for protection and for, for connecting higher to the chakras, and to be able to have boundaries and bubbles for yourself, that when you're going into places that that there might be, I mean, this sounds horrible, but energy vampires, or people that are, that aren't vibing at your same level. How do you protect yourself in that environment? So there's many simple ways, and awareness is the number one. And I don't know, I mean, I know there's development as we grow older, there's a maturation and there's development. And yet if awareness could just slightly come in as a little pebble right from the beginning, it won't be such strict conditioning, and that you need to be this, you need to be a cookie cutter and this, because a lot of empaths are artistic, and they see differently. Their wiring's different. Like it's not the same black and white box you just fit them in. They're very spiritual. They see things, creative. Healers, and they see things that a lot of people don't see. That's why when I wrote down in the invitation for Wednesday and the following Wednesday, this is just a beginning, because I would like to be able to turn this upside down. This is your superpower. And most people feel bad for having this, because the narrative that they've heard all their life is, toughen up.
Yeah. Don't be a wussy.
Don't be a wussy. Stop your crying. Don't do this. Don't do that. Oh, you're hallucinating. You don't have a clue. You're just a make-believe world.
Yeah. So as adults, what can we do to sort of manage this empathic nature, to manage, because there's a pro and a con side. So the pro is highly creative, healers, really kind, really magical people, right? You said it's a superpower. But the con side you already alluded to was, you can, if you can't manage it properly, drinking, overeating, gambling, whatever, addictions, self-loathing, depression, the list goes on. So how can we, as adults, manage it better so that we kind of maintain our equilibrium better?
Well, I'd say know when to reach out and get help is one thing. Know when you're overwhelmed and you need that helping hand to be able to say, hey, come, here's a place where you can actually work through some things, because there's a lot of shame sometimes. I'll just only speak from my own experience and some of the experience I've had with some of my clients that I work with a lot of empaths. So most people that are sensitive are empathic and really hold the world on their shoulders. So I think it's important to go back to some of that conditioning and go back and retrieve that part, right? Because that part that's so sensitive and innocent and vulnerable and all those magical things are some of the biggest beautiful powers that we have that are here that have just been cut, So be able to get help for that, and then be able to have those tools of self-nurturing. And because it really is about letting go and releasing that shame and releasing that, because when you said that some of the, it's a curse as well as a real beautiful gift, is when we get overwhelmed and we're like, get the hell away. Like, we need our time. A lot of empaths need their introverted time to rejuvenate and to reestablish again and restore. So there's ways of self-nurturing for especially us adults, and it all comes through awareness, and it's choice, right? We can continue, before we just came on, we were talking about victim, and we can victimize ourselves for the rest of our lives, for sure. Except there's a choice point. Like, do we want to keep suffering with this? Do we want to keep loathing ourselves? Do we want to keep, or are we going to turn this around? Just turn it upside down and here it is, here I am, and accept it, and then work with it. And sometimes we'll fall and we'll get up again.
Right.
And
yeah. So how do we manage that then?
well, I'll ask you, when you feel overwhelmed, how do you manage it?
Rest, nature trail walk?
I was just going to say, my next thing was going to say nature. Empaths are very connected and restore through nature.
I don't like baths. Yeah.
Those are rituals, right?
Rituals, yeah. Wow. You know, they did, there's an organization here in Toronto, because I'm doing this peace challenge event where I have been. And the last one is today, where we're doing a call. So there's an organization here in Toronto that teaches young people to meditate. They go into schools and they work with youth. And the studies show that the level of crime goes down, the level of bullying goes down. They get along better in school. And this organization probably took a model that was used in Baltimore. In Baltimore, it's been hit economically for a number of years. And there's a group of young males, probably in their 20s, 30s, that were street punks and had criminal past, and they go into schools, inner city schools, and they teach meditation, and the results are phenomenal in terms of the decrease in bullying, the decrease in fighting, the grades go up, the self-worth goes up, right? So that's really important too. If you've got a young kid who's an empath, instead of,
I think that's number one. I actually think about that awareness. If you check in and you go in and you start to see what the inner world is speaking, well, of course, you're going to drop into some peace there. There's going to be some peace and understanding that is not necessarily here on the waves of the ocean, right? The waves, lots of distraction. When you come in, of course, there's this beautiful peace and calm. It's giving you strength. It's giving you, it opens the aperture in order to see clearer. Meditation I would say, is number one.
Yeah. And because it softens you, and it's hard to be in a bad mood when you get up from even a 10-minute meditation. You're not going to go and, argue and make somebody wrong. But, as we were growing up, you're right. We got told so many messages like toughen up, don't be a wimp, act like a man. It's like, I am, but, my heart's breaking. I remember being like a kid, I don't know, 10, 12, 13. Well, I lost my dad. That was bad. But I had a sibling that always forgot to call me on my birthday. And I just felt like horrible. The other two did. They knew, they wished me happy birthday and everything. But there was that one, right? So, and I remember just feeling just horrible. As my young prepubescent teen or kid, not suicidal, but just so beside myself with pain and sorrow.
Absolutely. That totally makes sense. So there's the example right there. I mean, you feel the shame and you think you're weird and you think all these things. And in fact, the truth is, we actually empaths need to be taking leadership roles because of the viewpoints that we have, because of the things we see, because of this. And it's just been turned around to be sort of a loathing thing. In fact, it's a gift. It's a gift that can really be utilized, understood, and then managed, and really help other people.
So there's an old song by Helen Reddy that we grew up with.
Which one?
Hear me roar. We should say, I'm an empath, hear me roar. We have
it's true.
We should have a group of, empaths unite, because we are the game.
It's true.
We are the visionaries. We are the creatives. We're the ones that come up with really new ideas and new ways of thinking that other people would laugh at,
Well, and how's it working for those people that are, I'm not trying to make anybody wrong. Listen, we're all like, but there's just, as we're looking, that's why I'm so driven by this right now. I was in a meditation last week, and actually people are going to, maybe I'm nuts, but I connected to Mother Mary.
You are, but so what?
But that's okay. So aren't we all?
Yeah.
Mother Mary said, you need to work with empaths. It was very clear. And it was like, God, why not? Like, because that's who I am. That's the work I'm doing. Why not take it to another level where you can get a sacred group coming together where people don't have to feel so alone, and their people can talk to each other and feel less alone, and feel like there can be a community built in order to build these leaders that we need. Because the way this world's going right now, David, is like the same old, right? Oh, where'd you go? Hello?
I'm just sneezing.
Okay. Oh, did you?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Of course, that's truth when you sneeze on something. Achoo! We need leaders that have, like, that know that we're vulnerable and have compassion, and have that compassion is strength, and that intuition and that sensitivity and that vulnerability. This is our strength. The rest is BS, because honestly, look what it's doing for us. Do we need more things and stuff and greed and money? And I'm not saying that money is not important. It's energy, but we need more compassion. We need more empathy. We need more caring for each other.
Well, and you bring up another point too. I mean, I've heard a number of people in the personal growth field, or maybe the intuitive field or whatever, saying, yes, this is the divine feminine is awakening. Is this part of it, do you think? Like, the divine feminine is awakening now finally on the planet? And
do you think the balance may be coming back because the patriarch has taken it's to its limit? Like, if we don't bring the balance back, what's going to happen to Mother Earth? What's going to happen? Like, I mean, look already. I mean, we go back 4.5 months ago before this COVID happened. And in my meditation, all I got was environmental. That's all I kept hearing. Environmental, environmental, environmental. Okay, where's this COVID? Environmental. Well, think about it. We're psychically polluting the planet. There's such fear inundating us. There's so many factors that are engaging us. I mean, you think of terrorism itself. Media. It's the greatest terrorist on this planet right now.
And it gets to you.
Well, look what I just picked. Remember what I just picked when I...
Yeah.
Unplug.
Share that card with everybody?
Yeah, unplug from mass consciousness. It's basically saying, in order to... Let me just read this, just a few points on it, because in order to build the new world, we need to unplug from the old. There's inundation of fear, and it's just pelleting us every day. Hold on, let's just see. Because before we started, I asked for a message. So there is a belief system based on fear, doubt, and distrust that is known as mass consciousness. It said it's safer to stay with the crowd, not to question what you have been taught. It says you cannot trust the divine to take care of your financial well-being or your emotional needs. It says you should be afraid and not take risks. It says that if you dare to stand up and live your truth, you'll be lost and alone, humiliated, rejected, even destroyed. You are being guided to unplug from that system of beliefs. You are capable of more creatively loving and soul-satisfying ways of living. To access this, let go of that, to access this, let go of the way that is too small for your soul.
Wow. And for an empath, I mean, rejection and hurt and shame are... This
is totally like, for an empath, this could be, like, I don't want to get into labels, right? Like, the thing is, empaths, yes, and sensitive beings, yes. It's to create more understanding. I don't want to get so much in boxes. Like, for us to know who we really all are, we're soul beings, right? We're soul beings. We're not these flawed human beings, except we come down here and our flawed nature has created a mess.
So, yeah. And we all are flawed, but that's part of...
I am too. We all are, for sure.
All of us. We were talking off air that I had a healing session with a friend of mine in England, and my big realization was my meanness. And by the way, I'm going to come clean on this. My nice guy exterior, I'm that because underneath I have a mean streak or a nasty streak. And that nasty streak, though, is really there to cover up and protect myself from hurt and pain. And as an empath, that's how I protect myself. So it's to love that and to love the empathic side, right?
I just love unconditionally.
Mm-hmm.
Love it, like love yourself. Love yourself through kindness and compassion.
Yeah.
Love yourself through I don't know, getting to know all the parts of yourself, the good, the bad, it doesn't matter, good, bad, and just all of it, because we are humanly flawed. When we come into this soul, we come as a soul down here, we're humanly flawed.
You know,
We're in this, it seems so real.
we both did Landmark, and I remember
Yeah.
they said that we made up ideas and thoughts about life or people in our life at a very early age when we weren't really fully developed. So, you know, your mom leaving you in the crib alone to cry with a wet diaper, and you're going, what the hell? Can I not trust adults now? Like, what's going on with this? And that we bring that in, that story with us time and time again throughout our whole life. And then we look for evidence for that to show up. Is that something that we all do? Or is it something that maybe an empath might do more so than somebody that's a bit more maybe?
You mean that might be more aware of doing it? Because I think we all do it. You could probably say we all do it. Now, some of us are pretending we're something else. Like most of us don't want to be sensitive, because look what happens. You even look at nature, look at the animal world. What happens to the sensitive, the vulnerable one? Hello, they get, it's
Eaten a lot.
You do. I mean, there's a natural process to this world that's kind of cruel, really, when you think about it.
It is.
And I mean, in some senses, I've said to God, I mean, who do I think I am? Mother, Father, God, or whatever that is. It's like, what the heck were you thinking? But then I think, well, this has got to be some sort of earth school here.
Yeah.
This has got to be a school to see who you're not in order to really see more clearly who we are.
You are. And to get to who we are. Maybe that's what we're doing collectively. We're just getting, we're being really drilled down to get to who we are.
You mean to our knees at times?
Yeah, to our knees sometimes.
And then, but to be then lifted up. A friend of mine said today, I feel so lost, Cathy. And I said, well, you remember in school the lost and found. So you're just about to be found. Right. And sometimes we need to be in the unknown. We need to be in the unknown, because that's the field of all possibility. And if we keep doing it, like Landmark said, you know what you know, you know what you know, but you don't know what you don't know. So you got to go into the unknown in order to grow and to be maybe that expression or possibility of some greatness you never even knew was in you to express. We're being stretched, man. Like this is, even some of my teachers, like some of the teachers that I even have thought really highly of, my shaman teachers, some of the people, they're all going, this is damn challenging.
It is. And if you think anybody knows, I got news for you. Okay. So this is a little checklist. If how do I know I'm an empath? Can I share it with you?
Yeah, go.
You've been labeled as too emotional or overly sensitive. If a friend is distraught, do you start feeling it too? Are my feelings easily hurt? Oh boy, that's a lot of us these days with political correctness, right? Don't get us started.
No.
Am I emotionally drained by crowds and I require alone time to revive? I used to get made fun of by my former spouse because at the end of a week, I was so exhausted. I needed time to sort of reflect and nap because I put so much of myself into my work, right? Yep. Do my nerves get frayed by noise, smells, or excessive talk? Do I prefer taking my own car, places so that I can leave when I please? Yeah, maybe, eh? Do I overeat to cope with emotional stress? Am I afraid of becoming engulfed by intimate relationships? If you answered 3 of those, yes, you're probably an empath. That's according to Dr. Judy Orloff. What's your take on that?
I 100%. I've read the same thing, and I 100% concur. It's funny, when you were just speaking that, I thought my mother came to my mind. My mother was an empath. Just hit me right between the eyes. And it's funny how, I've never, when I really think about to extend the empathy, of an empath, yeah, it's my mother and I were very connected that way. Like she gave it all. Like she just gave so much. She overgave, you know. And I've had that tendency too. And like you, I wanted to share that there's parts of me that can err. I mean, you and I are dear friends, and there's parts that we go poking at places. And like they said in the was it Landmark? No, there was some book I read about. Oh no, the Untethered Soul, where he says you don't want to go near that. I cover that, the thorn. You don't touch the thorn. You
Mm.
don't touch the thorn. And if you do come near it, I'm going to push back. So we don't, as empaths, need to be this way. We can open, and we can allow, and we can build trust, and we can build relationships, which of course are always challenged because we're flawed as humans and we get triggered and we poke each other. But there's ways of creating sacred relationships that can help us grow and that can have our back. And we can move with this in different relationships. It doesn't just have to stay in one. I mean, we grow and we move on and we meet other people, and we can use these tools and awareness to be, because it's not going to go away.
You
This
know,
is you.
yeah. And, one of the things that gets me is like ongoing rejection and the rejection. And that's a big theme in my life, by the way. And oddly enough, especially around women.
That's
And
interesting. So that
yeah.
this is that's a biggie.
And that could stem from like pre-birth even, you know? Yeah. So no, I love women, don't get me wrong.
But there's an unconscious thing that's driving a lot of it, right?
Right. And who do I attract? That kind of woman in my
The
life.
unconscious part that's under there is attracting, well,
Right.
we could say, you and I could even say this, or I could even empath or not, that there's about two things that I have continued to experience my whole life, and they've showed up in everything. And it's either I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, well, I'll show you, don't reject me, right? And what's working now is more self-love and acceptance.
I think
That's what heals.
100%. And I don't think you ever arrive and go, I love now I have arrived and I have nothing more to work on. No, that's not my experience anyway.
But be honest with it, like be open and vulnerable with it, right? Because the one thing, I like is that relationship. So I better be open and honest with it. But we talked about those, you're an empath if. So one of the things that I want to touch on from that list was I'm afraid of becoming engulfed by an intimate relationship. So how then, Cathy, can we let our significant others know that we need alone time without being maybe aloof or snobby? Because they might.
So being able to express oneself's feelings, and then sometimes we will create. My experience is that even people that need time will create a fight. Unconsciously create a fight, so they'll have the time apart. But we don't need to do that. We can actually be quite candid with each other and not take it personally, right? Okay, that we're learning about each other and how we are and in boundaries, because I'm with an empath, so we're both empaths. So that even creates a whole other, but it's a reflection. So you're seeing the sensitivities there, and then you're seeing the mirror of each other, because there's usually a mirror there, and the mirror, the trigger into those places, those sensitivities inside of us, in that wound that we have as well. I mean, we have that on the outside world, we have it here. Am I good enough? Am I this and that? And then, we can dance, but we can trigger each other and poke each other, or we can come together and say, hey, let's just gently, like, I need some boundaries right now. We need time apart, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And that takes a great deal of responsibility on one's own emotions, to hold their own emotions and to say, this is what I need. And that's scary too, right? That's growing pains of a relationship.
Yeah.
And I think, go ahead.
You don't want to always expose that wound.
No, you don't. And yet I will say to you, this is another thing I'm passionate about. I'd like to work in sacred relationship, because I think there's no way around exposing yourself. If you are in a long-term relationship, I mean, I'm coming up to 16 years. There's no way you can and what life throws you, can you stay without being vulnerable?
Yeah, you have to be. I watch a show, don't laugh, but
What?
There's not a TV on. I'm about to cut my cable, actually.
I
But
think I might be.
on Channel 9, yes. And it's on at 8:30. Some nights it's on relationships, and it's with Michael Pinball Clemens, and there's a panel of like these sort of Christian thought leaders, and Michael and his wife and everything. Anyway, there was a quote about good relationships, and a really good relationship is someone that lets you be who you are, but challenges you to be who you want to become.
Beautiful.
Your take on that?
That's beautiful. Well, I mean, there's the stretch zone right there. Why are we here just to stay the same?
Yeah.
I mean, most of our stagnant points are the points that need to grow and need to jump out of into the void.
Right.
That's why we get crunchy and crusty and we don't grow, is because we're trying to stay safe and that's not what we're supposed to be.
No.
That's not where we're supposed to go.
We're supposed to risk, and maybe it's risking being vulnerable. Now, in that list, what about managing unhealthy behaviors, eating, drinking, gambling? What are some ways to cope without doing harm to ourselves? I think we've addressed a few: meditating, quiet time, rest.
I would say this is my invitation. And I put on 11 pounds during this COVID. I learned how to bake and eat, and I won't, like yourself. I mean, I'm a student of life. I work with people, but of course I grow every day. Is to don't take that once. Don't take the drink. And be with what's there. And that actually is quite an incredible invitation that I've experienced, that having my mother passed away in the last 2 years, and that process of grief is just to be with some of that stuff. And when I am allowing myself to show up in that, whatever it is that I fear, there's a gift. And it's not even what you ever think it would be. There's like an illuminating, beautiful part of yourself that bubbles up that we run from. And I just, in that stillness, to be able to face those fears or cry those tears or whatever needs to be addressed in that moment, it usually comes from some long-standing story that we talked about. And it just, this is layers, it's a process, and meet it with unconditional love and compassion for yourself. First and foremost, that's the place to start, and then extend it. Of course, the more we can be true to ourselves, then the more we can be present to other people.
You've got a course coming up.
Well, I got a little series starting on Wednesday night. I've got, go ahead.
Yeah, tell us about the course and who's it for and what are they going to get from it? So
I'm just from ages like 16 and up. I think the oldest one might be 27 coming this week. And then I'm doing one for older people. Are you sneezing again? And what I want to do is create a sacred space for empaths to be able. So the introduction this week is going to be just on what we just talked about, what it is. And most of the people that I've gathered together, I feel, are empathic. So, and they need some camaraderie and community. So I think there's that, and this is a new venue for me, a conduit, the Zoom. It's going to be difficult. I'm just learning to walk with this. So I'm not sure how it's going to work, because I like in person. I want to get the next one safely outside, maybe in person, for us to get together. And so there'll be ways of us discussing first about, just to be able to give them a forum to be able to speak on how they've been feeling. And then, little tools. And this is going to be a sort of a series, I believe, because I don't think you can just in 1 hour to an hour and a half get it all done and see you later. So this is, the investment is $20. It's an hour and a half. I'm going to be probably doing it every 2 weeks. I'm just going to feel out the first group of them. Go ahead. What'd you say?
Like an empath would.
Yeah, I'm going to feel it out, and we're just going to see, because it's really about when the group gets there, what do they need? It's not really about me. So I'm going to shape the introduction of what it means to be an empath, and I'm sure all of them are going to be able to experience that and say yes, 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 and be able to share. And then, we'll definitely be doing a meditation, and there's definitely tools that I have, certain crystals that you can use, certain ways of protecting yourself, which are very important, and awareness being the biggest part. So when you're going somewhere where there might be people that are going to be, you're not comfortable with, and we could sometimes talk about family, but that you need to, you get yourself protected. You need to be quite aware before you go in there. And as they say, my friend said, what is it? Family's better in pictures, or you go late, you leave early. So there's ways that you need to be able to help yourself.
And to
There's,
yeah.
and sorry? Yeah, to manage. So it's not going to be it's going to be more simplistic in the sense of layman, because there'll be some woo woo, of course, because there's some intuitive natures here that I'd like to be able to help ignite that part, to believe in that'll kind of go as we go along. It'll be a little series. So it'll be a step-by-step process into, and then giving them back their power. This is their beautiful power. This is my power. This is your power, David. These are powers. These are, when I say powers, this is our light. This is who we really are.
What does it look like when we achieve self-love?
I don't think we ever arrive there. I think there's a peace. I think, a lot of people say, I want to strive for happiness. I want peace. I am peace. We are peace. We're love. We're joy. We're all those things. And I I don't think that you can ever really arrive there and not even have life, because I just, a friend of mine's father died yesterday, and somebody else I know recently lost a grandparent, and there's loss in this life. So there's no guarantee that there's going to be no challenges in this. How are we going to ride the waves as a sensitive being? And right now, especially because we are now under the same biosphere where the world is going through a huge metamorphosis. The towers are falling, the fears are up, everything is like acute.
Oh yeah, right.
It's acute.
It's right here. And you have a decision, like your family, if they trigger you. And not, I like the other term about family, though. You can pick, but you can't pick your family.
But we do pick our family. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
But we do, David. We do.
I know. And
we probably come back to them many times.
They are our greatest teachers. But anyway, we do have a choice, in terms of how we handle our own life and do our self-management. And even in this midst of chaos that we're in right now, because it is, well, you know what? It was chaotic before this, Cathy. You and I both know that, and everybody else.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's
just heightened.
It's just maybe more freedom to the chaos, and no masks. But anyway,
God, let's not get onto that, eh?
We won't get into that. But what was I getting at? What was I getting at?
No, I was just going to say, I think that, as far as the empaths and doing these little groups or gatherings, it's just to really help build community and support each other, because these are really challenging times we're going through right now. And sorry, go ahead.
That's what I was getting at before. We choose the chaos and go into it, or we could choose the path of peace. And a path of peace might be a drive in the country and sitting by a lake and reading a book.
And think about it. The past, the present, and the future is now.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So each moment of now, you're going to welcome and embrace whatever's there. We're like in Landmark, they say the meaning-making machines. We make it mean so much that we lose the sense of being. We're just meaning. And it's hard to drop into the meaning is very much headstrong and thought strong. And there's so much more there inside of us, in the power center that's in our essence, our light, our heart, our soul, our love, the love that we are.
Yeah.
It's a trail, though, eh? It's a warrior of light. There's a warrior nature of it. And even like the way of the peaceful warrior, Millman, I think his name was, the way of the peaceful warrior. This is, you think of those beautiful beings that walk this earth. How have they been received? Do you think of, even if it's Jesus or Yeshua or whoever it is, that whether it's the second coming of, or the Son of God or not, a prophet, you think of Gandhi, you think of these beautiful people, or there's many more you could say that have walked this earth, in Muslim, all these messengers. And they're saying one thing. And it's not, where are you going to get your next I'm not saying that we exist in money and frequency of energy of money, but what about loving your neighbor? What about coming together? What about all these things that we've forgotten?
Yeah, gratitude. Yeah, even Moses. I mean, you know, and all of them, all
Yeah.
leaders had their frailties. They had their, you know, they were human, you know, and they had their human side, and like Moses got pissed with the Jews when they were like, "How can you be so ungrateful? Look what we've done for you." Yeah, but you know, yeah, go back
Think about it before.
to slaves.
You're right. You're right. You're right. But you think about it before enlightenment, gather water, chop wood. After enlightenment, gather water, chop wood.
Yeah.
There's no way around this physical existence. This body does, you know, derail us a little bit. Our energy. I mean, I'm getting a little, not, we're aging a little bit, and it's like, it's different. You just wish, well, what about 30 years ago when I had all that energy? And it's, you know, like there's different experiences of each stage, or I don't know. It's you go deeper inside. I think, as I would say from my experience, you go deeper inside, and you wish you could put all that wisdom on these young people, but they're going to have to go through it just like you and me.
Yeah, but we can make a difference.
We will, and we are, and you are.
Yeah, we're all teachers for each other, right?
And empaths make amazing leaders, I'm telling you.
I agree. So where do we reach you to learn more about your work and sign up for this course?
Well, I've got a couple of things on Facebook under Cathy Bell. It says Catherine Bell, but I'm on there as Cathy Bell. I am in the process of changing my website. That's going to take some time. I would say, I mean, I don't know my phone number. I mean, you could certainly.
Your email.
I'm just trying. My email, nlightnow@yahoo.ca, all small font. N, the letter N, lightnow@yahoo.ca, or me on Facebook.
Okay, sounds good.
And that's Wednesday, $20 investment. And I think we've got about 7 people this week so far for Wednesday, and next week I'm at 4 so far. So
good job.
It's an intimate group.
That's the way it should be. Yeah.
David, thank you.
We should close on a song. You ready? Feelings, nothing more than feelings. Right?
Trying to forget feelings of love.
Okay, I'll stop singing. Everybody, no one will ever watch this again, you know? Thank you so much, Cathy. It was great. Okay, and good luck with your event on Wednesday, and blessings. And thank you for listening. We'll be back next week. We're going to put a spell on you. Ryan Montes is going to talk about hypnosis, and maybe we'll even do one. How's that, huh? Ooh. He'll put us under. Yeah, I'll forget my name and what we're doing, and who knows. So have a good week. Be well, everybody. Bye for now.